Hi Tony, just going to shoot a quick video for you to explain to you about ATUs with my setup here. I haven't actually yet tried the antenna that I was talking to you about the other day, so this is a first for me as well, and you'll see everything I'm going to do. It's not so much, I'm basically going to hook the ATU into the back of the radio and then onto the aerial. So the aerial comes into the back of the ATU, and the back of the ATU has a patch lead that goes into the radio, and we'll pick up the rest in a minute. So here's the stuff I'm going to be using. Okay. This is an MFJ 941E. This is what I would use at home. And I was telling you about my kiting. This is the one I use out and about for kiting. It's an MFJ 971. Both are good for 100 watts. Yeah, it doesn't say, but yeah, 100 watts, easy. Alright, I'm going to connect in with this little patch lead, and on the back panel here we've got coax 1, coax 2 transmitter and a dummy load if we need it. Out in the field, with when I'd run kites, you'd use the banana pin terminals, but in this case I'm going to use coax 1 for the antenna, and this short patch lead to the transmitter, which in this case I'm actually just going to use my TS2000 because I'm not fully familiar with the 7300 yet, and I know a lot more how to drive the 2000 because I've had the thing for about 15 years. So that's where we are. So I've just screwed a patch lead onto the back onto the back of the ATU. So I'm just watching my cat and something else going on in the carport. Okay, anyway, we've got the patch lead on the back of the ATU in the transmitter socket. That's going to go into the radio. Shift the logbooks and stuff. This is all stuff I've just got out tonight. Antenna 1. We're going to go to antenna 1 in a minute. I want the HF antenna. I've actually finally got to the bottom of which antenna cables which by going out and shorting out the far end, and I've marked them up with labels. So this is the HF antenna going on to coax 1. So hopefully when we fire up the TS2000 now we'll hear some background noise. I'm just going to put it on 80, so 3.5 megs. So the first thing I would do on the actual ATU is I set the somebody talking in the background there. I would set the these rotary dials either side just to the top position, and the centre one, which is marked inductor here, I will click it around and just see when the background sound becomes the loudest. That's what we're looking for as a starting point. I'm on coax 2. There we go, there's coax 1. So again, I just stuffed up the last bit. Remember, I connected to coax 1 input there, so this switch should be on coax 1, but a lot of ATUs you've only got the one coax anyway. So here we go. I'm going to listen for the background noise, and by rotating the middle one there, the one that clicks with the switch, I'm listening for the sound to go up and down, and I'm going to end up in the upright position. Sorry, in the upright, in the sound up as best I can get. You can hear it going away there. It's gone. So somewhere in one of those positions, so it's down in this position, it's all but gone, but when we were clicking at the top the signal comes back, so it's going to be somewhere there. So now we've found that bit where you've got more background noise, you know you're roughly in the right place, and we're going to rotate these two to make these needles move. Now I always explain it like this: one needle is your transmit power, and one needle is the power coming back, the reflected power, which we don't really want much, right? So we want this the transmitted or forward to go up as high as possible, and the reflected to be, which is the needle that's going this way, to be as low as possible. So I don't know if you can see this on the video, but I say we want to do this. This is the kind of action we want. We want it as far over this way as possible, and you'll see that indicated on the scale, but it's a bit of a funny thing to read. So once again we're going to go up and this way as far as possible with the needles, so that it comes down here. So I notice in my original clip that I didn't show the meters moving very well, so I'm just going to explain that a little bit again in a little clip that I'll insert. Okay, so we're going to start off like this. This one here is the transmit, and we want the transmit to go all the way up. This one is the reflected. Now down here there's no reflection, up here there's a lot. So the name of the game in the bit that I was trying to show you with that movement of my arms, which is actually out of camera shot, is we want to do this. Okay, so we want to kind of tilt it over to the right. So nice lot of transmit power and minimal reflected. Now, in order to do that, you need to transmit a constant carrier from the radio, but you need to be careful because, you know, potentially you've got a bad SWR off the bat, and you're going to send 100 watts up the line and you're going to get 90 watts back. Now over a short period, over a period of time, that's going to pop the transistors on the back of the radio. So what I do is I switch my radio into AM and I go for the lowest power possible, which I think is probably 5 watts. And I do that exercise with the needles, just with the 5 watts initially. Okay, so I know someone's talking there, so I'm just going to go off of there a little bit. So I'm going to switch to AM. You could do FM as well. And power, I'm going to take down, yeah, the lowest is 5 watts, so there we go. Again, you can hold the microphone button if you want, or on this radio it has a send button. Now also this has an ATU, so yeah, let's make sure that ATU is off on the radio if you're using a radio with an ATU. Okay, so we're going to transmit by pressing the send, and you see those needles, a bit nasty. In actual fact, I'm going to pause the video here, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit more so that you can see closer up what's going on. Hopefully that's going to be sharp enough for you to see. So I'm going to hit the send or the transmit on the radio, and I'm going to rotate these two outer two here. Let's see, there we go. These outer two, so that I'm going to get that needle that's currently up there high. That's reflected. That's a lot of power coming back. I'm going to bring that down. So the reflected, which is, you know, the axis point is there, and it's this needle here that goes up. We want to bring that down, and the transmit, that's the axis point here, and this is this needle which rises this way. We want that up as high as possible and that as low as possible. That kind of swinging action I showed you. Right, so here goes. I'm going to try it on this setting. We can see a little bit twitching there. Pretty good. So it's some more, there we go. That's where we want to be. So you can see that's down there, and that one's up there. That's pretty dang good. Just turn it off for a second. Ooh, it's knackering my CCTV up good. Right, so this button, I've just changed it to the 300 watt setting, and you can see it's only going up a little bit now. But if I pump the power up to say 100 watts, 25 is as far as we go here. 25, okay, so 25 watts, and let's do it again. We can probably put that in that 30 watt setting, send. Yeah, she's up there. You can see that's quite happy sitting down there. It's really screwing my CCTV cameras up, but there we go. Alright, so yeah, that's as low as she goes. I would be happy transmitting with that, because I know that there's chuff all power coming back. Now I can verify that on this particular radio by putting the SWR meter on. Let's turn that off. Or if you wanted to, you could have an SWR meter between this radio and the ATU. So you go out the back of the radio, patch lead into your SWR meter, and then patch lead from the SWR meter into the ATU, and then you would go from there off up the antenna line. Okie dokes, what we're going to do. Meter for SWR, let's have a look. SWR, there we go. Let's do that send again. You see the SWR's next to nothing. It's just on the one, right? So that's pretty dang perfect. At this point I would flicker over to LSB, low sideband in this case, on 80 and give her a go. But bear in mind you're going to transmit 100 watts, so this meter is on the 30 watt position. If I bang 100 out, it's going to end stop, right? So I'm going to take that off there. That's now on the 300 watt position. So when I'm whistling or whatever I'm going to do, I'm expecting that needle to kind of come up to about the 100 watt mark, and this needle on the bottom here with the return naffle, hopefully. Okay, LSB power is 100. There it is, right? So we can give a little whistle. And I'll just hit the microphone. Here we go. You see, not a sniff shifter there on the return, so we're all good. We're good to go. What we do, have a little listen round. Of course, I can't hear anything now. I think because my air conditioning is doing something funny from what I can work out in terms of interference. Oh, what a lot to contend with. But anyway, that's the gist of what you do and what you look for. I hope you found that useful.